Let's get something straight from the beginning. This world has a strange way of measuring value. It claps for the man in a suit, but walks past the one in an apron. It quotes the CEO on social media, but doesn't even look the watchman in the eye. It gives standing ovations to people on stages, yet can't muster a simple thank you to the one who sweeps the floor beneath the stage. But today, I want to flip the script. Yes. You. The watchman who stands through the cold nights while everyone else sleeps. You, the waiter who serves with a smile even when your back aches. You, the gardener who makes beauty bloom, but gets ignored like a weed. You, the cleaner who touches dirt to make everything else shine. You, the hawker who faces insults just to put food on the table. This one is for you. Because no matter how society dresses its prejudice with suits, fancy degrees, or fake smiles, it doesn't change one eternal truth. Your worth isn't measured by your uniform, but by your purpose. So buckle up. Because we're going deep into how to carry yourself with dignity. How to handle disrespect without losing your mind. How to rise even when the job you do seems low. And how to eventually turn that job into a stepping stone to something greater without begging for validation from a world that's half blind anyway. If you've ever felt invisible, disrespected, looked down on, or talked to like a nobody, stay with me. This video might just light a fire in you that never goes out. Let me tell you something raw and real. People will treat you how you treat yourself. And sadly, too many people in humble jobs walk around like second-class citizens, apologizing for existing, whispering instead of speaking, bowing their heads too low, as if the soil they walk on owns them. Stop that nonsense. You're not a mistake in a uniform. You're not a background prop in other people's lives. You are a human being with a soul, purpose, destiny, and God's fingerprints on your existence. You may sweep the floor, but don't let anyone sweep your confidence away with it. You may hawk in the sun, but don't sell your self-respect along with your merchandise. You may dig trenches, but don't bury your dignity in the mud. Dignity is not a job description, it's an attitude. It's how you walk, how you talk, how you present yourself, not for approval, but for self-respect. Hold your back straight, not for arrogance, but for awareness. Speak clearly, not to show off, but to show you're not invisible. Look people in the eye, not to challenge, but to declare, I exist and I matter. Even the Bible says in Proverbs 22 verse 29, do you see a man skilled in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. It didn't say which kind of work. It just said skilled, diligent, consistent. So, whether you are cleaning toilets or guarding a gate, walk with the mindset of someone who's on divine assignment. Because truth is, many people wear suits but serve Satan. You may wear gumboots, but serve God with every honest breath you take. And in heaven's eyes, that's royalty. Now listen. Just because your job seems low in people's eyes doesn't mean you have to let them step on you like a doormat. You're a worker, not a weakling. You're a servant, not a slave. Let that sink in. Some people, when they think you're desperate for the job, will test your limits. They'll talk to you like you're their pet goat, throw commands like they are feeding a dog, and even joke at your expense in front of others, expecting you to laugh just to keep the job. No. Sir. No. Mama. There's a line, and it's okay to say, with all due respect, please don't speak to me like that. Yes, you need the job. But you need your peace, your sanity, your soul, even more. Setting boundaries is not being disrespectful, it's being self-respecting. Even Jesus, the most humble man who ever walked the earth, flipped tables when necessary. He washed feet, yes, but he never let anyone walk all over him. He was meek, not weak. So the next time someone tries to talk down on you, remind yourself silently. I may be standing here in this uniform, but I am not beneath anyone. My role does not define my value. My job does not cancel my identity. You don't have to yell. You don't have to fight. Just draw your line with calmness, clarity, and class. Even a lion doesn't need to roar to prove it's a lion. Sometimes it just needs to look up, and everyone remembers. Let's break another toxic myth. That only the educated, fluent, English polishing, accent faking, grammar checking folks are the ones allowed to speak boldly. Lies. From the pit of linguistic hell. Communication is not about speaking Queen's English. It's about making your presence felt without shouting. You may not have gone far in school, but you've gone far in life. Life has taught you what no classroom could. And that experience, that's wisdom in overalls. Now hear me. Bold communication is not about using big words. It's about using clear ones. It's about knowing when to speak and when to zip it. It's about looking people in the eye and saying what needs to be said. Respectfully, directly, and unapologetically. Some of the wisest men in history weren't educated, but they were disciplined in how they spoke. Don't let shyness rob you. Don't let stammering stop you. Don't let your accent be your shame. If they laugh, let them. You're not here to impress, you're here to express. Let me give you something golden. Silence in the face of humiliation is not always humility, sometimes it's fear in disguise. Learn how to say, "Excuse me, I didn't like the way you said that. Please clarify what you mean by that comment. I'm here to serve you, not to be disrespected." Say it with a calm tone, but a strong spine. Let your voice carry both humility and authority. And don't forget, even Moses stammered. But God still chose him to speak to Pharaoh. Why? Because he carried God's message, not just grammar. You're not just doing your job, you're representing dignity. Don't mumble that. Say it like you mean it. Let's be honest, when you work in roles like watchman, cleaner, waiter, hawker, disrespect comes free with the job. Some people talk to you like you're beneath their shoes. Others pretend not to see you at all, as if you're air with a uniform. And a few, oh, they weaponize status. They throw money at you, not to bless you, but to remind you of where you stand. Now hear me, and hear me loud. Disrespect is not always your fault, but how you react to it is your responsibility. You can't control their mouths, but you can control your mind. You can't stop their insults, but you can guard your peace. You can't stop the rain, but you can carry an umbrella of self-worth. There are times to speak up, and times to walk away with a smile that says, "Your words bounced off my self-worth like rain on a lion's back." Don't give your emotional power to people who don't even respect themselves. Some of these people disrespect you because deep down, they fear your resilience. Because they couldn't survive a day in your shoes. Because they wear suits, but have no spine. And the Bible? Oh, it saw this long ago. 1 Peter 3 verse 9 says, "Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but with blessing, because to this you were called." But let's be practical too. Blessing someone doesn't mean babysitting their bad behavior. You can bless them with silence. You can bless them with a boundary. You can bless them with absence from their nonsense. Let your dignity scream louder than their insults. Because at the end of the day, your soul must sleep in peace, not in pieces. Let me say this bluntly. People don't just look down on what you do. They try to tattoo it onto your identity. You're just a cleaner. You're only a waiter. You're merely a watchman. Those little words, just, only. merely have destroyed more confidence than poverty ever did. Society acts like unless your job comes with a briefcase, a necktie, a business card, or an Instagram bio, they can box you in as a nobody. But guess what? The world's labels don't determine your legacy. Being a cleaner doesn't mean your brain is dirty. Being a waiter doesn't mean you're waiting forever. Being a hawker doesn't mean you'll die on the roadside. It's a job, not your identity. You may serve tables now, but one day, tables will be set for you. You may guard gates now, but one day, you'll walk through doors you didn't even knock on. And let me say something heavy. Jesus washed feet, but no one in heaven dared call him just a servant. He was the Son of God, with a towel in his hand and divinity in his purpose. Don't let society's shallow standards pressure you into shame, because what they call low today will become your testimony tomorrow. Some of the richest, wisest, most impactful people started from the very bottom. Abraham Lincoln, born in a log cabin. David in the Bible, started in the fields with sheep. Joseph started as a houseboy in Potiphar's mansion. The problem isn't starting small, the problem is staying small in your mindset. You must learn how to walk tall in dirty boots, smile while selling, dream while cleaning, plan while serving. Because one day, society will ask you, how did you do it? And you'll smile and say, I refuse to be ashamed of my season. Let's crush another lie society whispers. That if you start small, you'll stay small. That if you're cleaning today, you'll be cleaning till death. That if you're hawking now, your dreams have expired. That if you're a waiter, you're just a permanent shadow of other people's success. Excuse me, since when did beginnings become destinies? Some people start on the 10th floor because of privilege. But you started in the basement with cracked walls, no elevator, and wet cement under your feet. But hear me. Basement beginnings build the strongest backbones. Do you know why God often hides greatness in lowly places? Because only the humble can be trusted to carry the weight of future glory without their heads exploding in pride. Let your job be your gym. Let the daily struggles be your training ground. Let every rude customer teach you people skills. Let every long shift teach you discipline. Let every coin you earn teach you the value of a shilling. You think you're just working to survive, but God may be training you to lead. Joseph started as a houseboy, then a prisoner. But one day, Pharaoh gave him power over an entire economy because his journey built muscles that entitlement never could. Your current job may be humble, but your destiny, your destiny is loaded with royalty. Don't despise where you are. Plant, grow, learn. Because the person who learns how to manage a mop well will one day manage millions. Your breakthrough may not look fancy right now. It might even smell like sweat and dust. But success isn't always born in boardrooms, it's often born in backrooms, through people who refuse to settle. So use your job. Milk it. Let it teach you. Don't just work in it, work your way out of it. Let me ask you a brutally honest question. Why are you ashamed of your survival? Why do you look down when someone asks, what do you do? Why do you speak softly when you say, I'm just a gardener, just a cleaner, just a hawker? Who taught you that your hustle is an embarrassment? Who told you that feeding your family with honest sweat is something to hide? Let me tell you something that might slap a little. If you keep apologizing for your life, don't be surprised when people keep treating it like a mistake. Stop explaining yourself to people who wouldn't survive half a day in your reality. You wake up early. You work hard. You endure heat, insults, fatigue, and still show up again the next day. And you think you owe someone an apology for that? Nah. You owe yourself a celebration. Some people sit in air-conditioned offices and still cheat their employers. But you're out here under the sun, honest, loyal, consistent. That's nobility, not poverty. So from today, stop lowering your voice when you mention your job. Stop comparing your story to someone else's highlight reel. Stop letting people use your past or position to silence your potential. The Bible says in Isaiah 61 verse 7, "Instead of your shame you shall receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace you shall rejoice in your inheritance." If you let shame take root in your soul, it will strangle your growth. But if you embrace your season, even if it's rough, humble, or looked down upon, you'll rise with strength that silver spoons will never understand. Walk tall. Smile wide. Speak boldly. Not because your life is perfect, but because your courage is real. Let me shock you today. The world can't function without you. But it will never admit it. Remove the gardener and nature takes over. Remove the watchman and crime dances in. Remove the cleaner and buildings turn into public toilets. Remove the hawker and half the people in the city can't eat lunch. Remove the waiter, and restaurants become chaotic jungles of self-service and angry customers. But guess what? The same people who depend on you every single day will often act like they are doing you a favor. They enjoy the order you create. They love the comfort you provide. They rely on the system you keep running. Yet they pretend you're replaceable. Why? Because if they ever admit how valuable you truly are, they'll have to respect you. And sadly, some people would rather pretend you're nothing than face the guilt of needing you. But you don't need their applause to know your value. You don't need the camera to shine to know you're lighting someone's path. Let me give it to you raw. You are the unsung backbone of society. The invisible pillar holding up the noisy roof. They'll never give you awards. But they'll cry the day you're gone. They won't write poems about you. But they'll panic when you're missing. They may not see you now. But they'll feel your absence like oxygen running out. So never let this silence convince you you're insignificant. Even the heart beats quietly, but it's the reason we're alive. Your value doesn't depend on recognition, it depends on reality. And reality says they need you more than they'll ever say out loud. So lift your chin. Roll your sleeves. Own your space. You're not invisible, you're indispensable. Let me tell you something many will never say. God doesn't call the glamorous. He calls the willing. He blesses the faithful. He exalts the humble. You, with your hands full of dust. You, with your name not trending. You, with your salary mocked and your effort overlooked. You are still royalty in the eyes of heaven. Do you think when God chose David, he looked for a man in a palace? No. He found a young shepherd in the fields smelling like sheep. Singing to the stars, fighting lions in secret. When God looked for someone to carry his son in the womb, he didn't choose a princess. He picked a poor, unknown girl named Mary in a forgotten town. When he chose someone to carry his gospel to the nations, he didn't pick a philosopher in Athens, he picked fishermen on the shores. Tax collectors in the street, a loudmouth Peter. A weeping Mary Magdalene, a stammering Moses. Why? Because man looks at titles, but God looks at heart, hustle, humility, and hunger. So don't ever let the world tell you you're just anything. You're not just a cleaner, you're the guardian of sanitation. You're not just a watchman, you're the keeper of peace. You're not just a waiter, you're the bridge between hunger and joy. You're not just a hawker, you're a mobile economy on foot. You're not just a gardener, you're the artist of nature. You're not just anything. You're chosen. You're needed. You're seen. So from this day forward, I challenge you. Wear your uniform like armor. Work like heaven is watching, because it is. Speak with grace, walk with power. And live with the quiet knowing that your crown may be wrapped in sweat, but it's still a crown. Let them laugh now. Let them look down now. One day, your story will be told to inspire generations. And they'll say, there was a man. There was a woman. Who started low, but lived high. Who was mocked, but never moved. Who cleaned floors, but ended up building homes. Who guarded gates, but was later given keys to kingdoms. Because those who carry themselves with dignity, even when the world mocks them, become the very giants others wish they'd never ignored. If this message has stirred something inside you, if you've ever been overlooked, underestimated, or made to feel small, then don't keep this fire to yourself. Share it. Someone out there needs to hear this. Comment below what part hit you the hardest. Subscribe, because this channel is here to remind you you're not ordinary. You're called, even in coveralls. God lifts those the world overlooks. And guess what? Your season of being unseen is ending now. Walk like it.